update your personal information.
From the market to the farm to the office, money talk is everywhere. But are you making sense or nonsense? The Bank of Jamaica brings you common sense with BOJ. Real stories, real laughs, and real lessons to help you protect, grow, and manage your money. Mattress savings.
At least my mattress. You charge me to sleep on it.
Partner plan.
Remember last year we needed our payouts early? But Miss Pam gave it to her cousin first.
Or a sketchy loan flyer.
Electrifying deals.
See why making the right financial choices is pure common sense. Brought to you by Bank of Jamaica, empowering everyday Jamaicans one episode at a time.
Grandpa, it's 2026. You can't keep hiding all your money in every single pocket forever.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Every dream conquered is another dream gained. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. Headed straight in your direction. 'Cause I'm wiser, one step closer. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard. And the music keeps on playing, and the people that I say we are mash up the night. Oh, what a feeling! Don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got a spark, don't fit it dark. Shine your lights Hey, what I want?
Hi, I am Candy Pang.
What a guan?
What a guan?
That a guan pa.
What a guan? What a guan?
What a guan! Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 a.m., 1:30 p.m., and 10 p.m. on CVM TV.
That's a guan pa. What a guan?
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins, and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yes.
looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness delivered his budget presentation in Parliament today and made a lot of announcements. From an increase in the national minimum wage, this will be going up from $16,000 per 40-hour work week to $17,000 effective July 1, to the redevelopment of Black River, to the construction of a new toll road along the north coast, to the tabling of the bill to establish the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, NARA. This has been a major talking point since its initial announcement post Hurricane Melissa, and we will also be getting views on that tonight from our guests. Now, joining us to discuss the Prime Minister's presentation, we have Mr. Mohan Beckford. He's a council member of the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise MSME Alliance. A little later on, we'll be joined by Opposition Senator Cleveland Tomlinson, who is the spokesman on productivity and competitiveness. We have in studio right now with us Ms. Titania Clark. She's a former vice president of the JLP Young Professional Group G2K. Economics professor Dr. Andre Horton from the University of the West Indies. He's also a member of the People's National Party. And of course, these are some of the guests that we will be having with us here in studio. We also hope to be joined on Zoom by economist Keenan Faulkner a little later on in the program. But I want to start by focusing firstly on NARA. Now, the Prime Minister focused a lot of his presentation on the hurricane recovery and thoughts, and I want to get some thoughts on the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority. Now, let's start with you, Mr. Mohan. The Prime Minister started by saying that today I lay out a transformative vision for Jamaica, and that's where I want to start. Did you hear a vision?
Well, and thank you for having me on the program. I heard a vision from the Prime Minister, one that it seemed to have been thought through. My only question is the execution of those plans, especially when it comes to the marginalizing the micro, small and medium enterprises. You can see where even the development of the coastline, sometimes you will realize that highways are built that cuts out those cottage industry, those small businesses, and as a result, the question is, how do you then bring them back into the fold of the economic activity when that happens?
Yeah, Professor Andre Horton, the movement of the minimum wage from $16,000 to $17,000 during the election campaign was a promise, something we had spoken with Titania Clark about here on CVM TV as well. It was initially aiming for $18,500, but given the issues caused by Hurricane Melissa, $17,000 per 40-hour work week. What did you make of that?
It's marginal. As you look at cost of living, and with the global oil crisis that's now taking place, there's going to be increase in a lot of the goods and services that Jamaica consume, especially those that are oil dependent. I mean, the Prime Minister spoke of the elephant in the room of the country, which is really productivity. But what I didn't see emanating from his presentation was really, how is Jamaica going to approach this productivity problem? How are we going to get more efficiency first in government? Then how are we going to get efficiency in the other industries that we depend on? Since the 1970s, we diversified out of agriculture, and our approach has been really to expand tourism. Our approach has really been to look at these services from the business process outsourcing, etc., etc. But because the value added from these have been weak, yet they are the industries that have been getting majority of the benevolence from the government. So we really need to revisit our macroeconomic plan.
You spoke about the government efficiency, but I want to just introduce to the discussion the Prime Minister agreeing with the suggestion from the People's National Party about an electronic invoicing system and saying this is something that was already in the pipeline. Does that, to you, in your mind, Titania Clark, the lone rose among these thorns here, answer some of the concerns about government efficiency?
Answering it, I think it's a start. As a young professional myself and someone who does business at a very high level, I think efficiency is something that we all have an issue with. I think I've always said it. I believe that productivity, while the PM has been touted it for at least 4 years now, I think it needs to have a high level discussion. I hear the professor talking about it, and I know sometimes when Jamaicans hear it, they think, oh, maybe he's calling me lazy. But if you think about it, when you go in the tax office, how long does a service take you to engage? And so these are the little things that we have to think about. It's just a tip of the iceberg, what he just made mention of. But I think even with Naira and just how things should roll out, I think we can see some efficiencies and some improvements to some services.
Yeah, there's also the issue, and I want to just zero in right there on Naira. It's something that has been touted. Really, it will have special powers to accelerate development approvals as well as procurement, enabling the execution of resilient infrastructure, along with a host of other special powers that Naira will have. What did you think of Naira's powers and mandate based on what we heard from the PM? Let's start with you, Mr. Mohan.
Mm-hmm. So with the plan program, it's, as I said before, the development of the country is a must, especially what we have seen as a result of Melissa. So I think it's time now we do what we call spring cleaning, and I think activating this is what is going to, that's what it's going to do. But importantly, in doing it, putting the plans forward, the important thing is the execution. And from where I sit, I want to encourage the Prime Minister to ensure that when these plans are being developed, the Jamaicans are benefiting from these development. MSMEs, small businesses are benefiting from these development. How do we foster the productive sector where export and doing business as an MSME, access to funding, because access to accessible funding is also put in place. And as I said, when you create like highways and these toll roads, you are cutting out the cottage industry, you are cutting out the bread and basket of MSMEs. How do you then get them back into the fold of things? We see what happened with the highway, that the north-south highway that takes you from town to Ocharias, where it cuts out Faith, Spend, Lime, in those sort of industry, in Bagwalk. So how do we get that back? The MSME that are cut out back into the fold of everything once we're
itching to come in.
Because we started the conversation, but it's important to go back to the key language and word used by the PM today, which was resurgence. Now, resurgence can insinuate either you're improving on something, building back something, but for me, it speaks to how quickly, and I hear you making reference to that. The businesses that we may lose with the development or the resurgence of what Naira should bring to us, I think it is important that we look at not just building back, but building back resilient and building back with the speed and the alacrity that this country needs to get us back to the stage where we could tout about how our economy was growing. The resurgence that we're looking forward to is something that with Naira, I'm hoping, as I said, with the agency, we've always heard agencies and acronyms, but we want to make sure, as you made mention, it is executed. And I think with their mandate, and a very large mandate, we should be seeing some improvements soon.
We heard some other acronyms as well, JAMRAC and some other stuff, and we want to come back to that on the other side of this. Our first break here on CVM's Lead Story Budget Special. We're going through point by point as much as we can, because the Prime Minister did say a lot in 4 hours, as many as we can on some of the major points from the Prime Minister's presentation here on CVM TV. Stay with us. We'll be right back. I'm Giovanni Dennis.
always taste to savor. Giving you the best, giving you the flavor. Nice enough the kitchens all across Jamaica. Happy smile when you see the price you pay for. Corned beef and the sausage. New pack. Ketchup and the pepper sauce. New pack. Beans and the baked beef. New pack. Rice. New pack. No oil. New pack. Yes. New pack foods always taste to savor. Giving you the best, giving you the flavor. Nice enough the kitchens all across Jamaica. Happy smile when you see the price you pay for. New pack. More than just value.
The seed for potscapes was planted many years ago when by chance I acquired a few succulents and there was a gap in the market where persons were actually looking for a wide variety of succulents as well as guidance in succulent care. So I went through all the required steps to make the business a reality. The vision of Potscapes was to be an online plant store. To do so, we required an e-payment gateway. Sagicor Bank's e-payment system was very reliable and was a perfect fit for our business. My business blossomed when we established a storefront at 29 Upper Waterloo Road. My Sagicor business bankers supported me tremendously in the early stages and continue to do so. I received solid advice as how to navigate the business processes and to positively impact others through plans.
I'm me the stylist, no scammer, no style me.
From the market to the farm to the office, money talk is everywhere. But are you making sense or nonsense? The Bank of Jamaica brings you common sense with BOJ. Real stories, real laughs, and real lessons to help you protect, grow, and manage your money. Mattress savings.
At least my mattress, no charge me to sleep on it.
Partner plan.
Remember last year we needed our payouts early? But Miss Pam gave it to her cousin first.
Or a sketchy loan flyer.
Electrifying deals.
See why making the right financial choices is pure common sense. Brought to you by Bank of Jamaica, empowering everyday Jamaicans one episode at a time.
Grandpa, it's 2026. You can't keep hiding all your money in every single pocket forever.
So let's go now to the Prime Minister's announcement of the increase in minimum wage.
Last year, we signaled our intention to continue the journey from a minimum wage to a livable wage. And we indicated that the next step would be to increase the minimum wage to $18,500. However, in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa, many of our businesses are rebuilding, many households are still recovering, and the economy is now navigating yet again another external shock in terms of energy prices and shipping costs. In this context, the government believes it is important to strike the right balance by continuing to improve earnings of workers while recognizing the realities employers face. We therefore propose a measured increase in the minimum wage from $16,000 to $17,000 effective July 1, 2026. This does not represent a departure from our long-term policy objective. The government remains committed to transition from a minimum wage to a livable wage, and as economic conditions stabilize, we will continue the phased increase necessary to realize that vision of the Jamaican worker.
So we do want to get some feedback on this issue, the issue of minimum wage. Titania Clark, how important was that, you think?
It's important, primarily because if you think about the manifesto, as he made mention, you know, oftentimes coming out of an election, people say you don't really stick to your promises. I think this is one of those phased approach. We have to acknowledge what Melissa did. And so even though persons may be expecting the 18,500, at least there's an increase. And that is something that we have to consider in the, as I said, resurgence. There are so many things that Melissa would have impacted, but sticking to a promise and at least phasing it out is something that we have to acknowledge and see how it goes.
Yeah, and for you, Mr. Mohan?
Right, so for the increase in minimum wage, we understand that regular working Jamaicans are also feeling the pinch of the increase in cost. So increasing the minimum wage from that perspective is a good move. However, we cannot deny that micro, small and medium enterprises are going to feel it. With the increase in payroll, with the increase in electricity, with the increase in operation, and even with the increase in taxes, we have to understand that balancing that equation means also to be mindful of the impact of that extra $4,000 per employee for minimum, because it's $17,000 now per week. It's an extra $1,000. Moving from 16 to 17, within a month you're paying as a micro enterprise an extra $4,000. Are there going to be the need to delay hiring? Are there going to be the need to lay off persons? Because
for $1,000, Mr. Mohan?
It adds up, because how many SME with 5 to 10 employees, and you're looking at the increase in energy costs, you're looking at the increase in the production that cost, the cost of doing business, because the other inputs within your businesses have increased because of energy costs. So we have to look at everything as a whole. As an employer, employer of about 25 persons, you realize it does add up, and you have to also be mindful that you also pay over taxes for these employees, and your contribution plus their contribution, so you realize that the cost, there's a real cost to micro, small and medium enterprise that we cannot turn our blind eyes to. And whilst you make provision for employees, there also there needs to be provision balancing the equation for those employers as well, because
Professor Horton, he's speaking about balancing equation. I'm a Jamaican listening now, and I'm saying viewers at home now will be saying, boy, extra 1,000, but how does the MSME businesses now strike this balance?
Let's be real here. You see, Jamaica is one of the few countries I've seen so fixated on minimum wage, because if you have your people demonstrating their maximum potential, then they will earn what is called real wages. And if you look at how the discussions take place in more developed countries versus the discussions that take place here, in America they are discussing the value of the wage. So it's the real wages that people are discussing. How much can this money buy? You're saying increasing it by 1,000. How much can it buy? And that is the question we need to ask ourselves. And our real wages, as I discussed before, is tied to productivity. So Jamaica's real wage went on a spiral downwards.
Can buy some additional liters of gas, so we're talking about
or some bottles of water.
Some bottles of water as well.
I mean, we have to get the productivity issue right if we're supposed to talk about the wage issue. I mean, in the real sense of the term, they are not disintegrated, they are tied together. And I think that until Jamaicans understand that if we need to be producing more per unit of time, that is how we're going to get more wages per unit of time.
Yeah, I want to go to this other election promise as well, and I'm just going to ask my team to just line up that rap that we did on the NHT. He spoke about some special incentives and some reduction in the percentage of what public sector workers will pay back. So people under 35 for certain categories of public sector workers. And I think that's something that's important in the context of the issues coming out of Hurricane Melissa. The minimum wage is one of the issues. He did mention he has to balance it so it's not going to the full 18.5, 17. He also did that NHT thing, and I think we may have this package on the NHD that we want to go to. But for you, Titania Clark, how important was that? Because he did stress that this was in fact an election promise. And before you comment, let's just kind of remind our viewers what he said regarding this latest update on the NHD.
A raft of initiatives and offerings for Jamaicans among issues addressed in the Prime Minister's contribution to the 2026-2027 budget debate. But on the matter of housing, Prime Minister Andrew Holness is keying in more incentives for the nation's civil servants and youth.
Effective July 1, 2026, teachers, nurses, firefighters, and members of our security forces and defense forces will benefit from a specially reduced mortgage interest rate based on their length of service. For those with 5 to 10 years of service, the applicable interest rate will be reduced by 1%, and for those with service of 10 years or more, the rate will be reduced by 2%. For young Jamaicans under 35, the NHD will reserve a minimum of 20% of scheme units, doubling from the previous allocation of 10%, and will provide an advance of $2 million to assist with deposit requirements for open market purchases.
Jamaica ranks roughly second in the world on the Human Flight and Brain Drain Index, trailing only behind nations experiencing extreme crisis or war, such as Samoa and Palestine.
Jamaica's housing crisis is not a financing crisis, it is a supply crisis. And no amount of money sitting on the NHD's balance sheet will build a single new home without the land, the infrastructure, the approvals, the construction capacity to put it to work. What we need urgently and at scale is a ramping up of housing supply.
He also announced plans to lower the wait period for accessing home improvement loans.
Also effective, July 1, the home improvement loan waiting period will be reduced from 7 to 5 years, giving existing homeowners faster access to funds for maintenance, security, green energy upgrades and expansion. All of these were commitments.
Titania Clark, he was saying that these were commitments made during the election campaign there. Your reaction?
Again, it's something that it is important to us as young people who sit around the table that some of these commitments that we would have helped to put forth to the Jamaican people is coming forward. So when you look at it for NHD, we're talking about teachers, nurses, or public servants. They are priority. If you thought about Melissa and the schools that young people as well, Melissa, things that what happened in Melissa, you want to ensure that even with a hurricane, your schools can continue because your teachers have secure housing. Your nurses don't have to be thinking about their roofs going or where they're sleeping because they can be a part of that emergency care. So it's important that we prioritize this sector. And we, again, tying everything to productivity. I know Andre speaks about that. He says if you're working up to 10 years, it's 1%. Above 10 years, it's another percentage that is reduced. So it speaks to keeping you within the teaching sector. Because now if you are in 8 years and you are thinking about migrating, maybe this is something that will help you to stay back so you know that you have that extra percentage.
Good enough move?
It is important. It's a move in the right direction, but not sufficient. When you think about the amount of resources that NHD have amassed over the last decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, they have significant contributions from nurses, teachers, doctors, and the average Jamaican. We have to have a housing plan. So we need to look at parishes and we need to see how much housing units St. James needs over the next 5 years, the next 10 years. We look at St. Elizabeth, how many housing units you need over the next 5 years, over the next 10 years, and then use the NHD usefully in that regard to ensure that our teachers can actually access, because a reduction in percentages does not necessarily equate to persons having access. You following? So that's something that we have to think about.
So we look at access, but one of the facts that he made mention of was also the $2 million if it is that you're not purchasing an NHD housing scheme. And I know that oftentimes people speak, when we speak about NHD,
sorry, the $2 million you spoke about was the deposit that you can have just in case you don't have cash. Just for clarity.
But oftentimes we speak about NHD housing schemes. But the truth is, as young professionals, you may want to purchase an apartment that is not a part of the NHD scheme. So this $2 million towards your down payment is also a massive step in the right direction, because this is a hurdle that many people face.
For you, Mr. Mohan?
Right, as I said, it's a step in the right direction, but there's still a gap. Because what I've noticed...
Tell me the gap in 20 seconds. I have to go to the break.
What I've noticed is that as the access to NHT funds it grows or gets better, the housing prices go up, so it just balances out. So the accessibility is very difficult.
Yeah. Lots more to chunk off here from this presentation that the Prime Minister gave in Parliament. We heard about so many other issues as well. The Kingston Public Hospital, among so many other issues. When we come back, we'll be hearing more from our guests here right now, as well as we'll be joined by some others in studio. Stay with us. It is CVM TV's Lead Story Budget Special. We're analyzing the Prime Minister's presentation. We'll be right back.
Start your journey with a Jane Bank Small Business Loan, with small business loans with as little as $10,000 and up to $4 million.
The time is 8:30.
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins, and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's a live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yes. Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
I'm me, the stylist, no scam and style me.
From the market to the farm to the office, money talk is everywhere. But are you making sense or nonsense? The Bank of Jamaica brings you common sense with BOJ. Real stories, real laughs, and real lessons to help you protect, grow, and manage your money. Mattress savings.
At least my mattress, no charge me to sleep on it.
Partner plan.
Remember last year we needed our payouts early? But Miss Pam gave it to her cousin first.
Or a sketchy loan flyer.
Electrifying deals.
See why making the right financial choices is pure common sense. Brought to you by Bank of Jamaica, empowering everyday Jamaicans one episode at a time.
Grandpa, it's 2026. You can't keep hiding all your money in every single pocket forever.
Hey, what a one?
I am Candy Pang and
what a guan? What a guan?
That a guan, pa.
What a guan? What a guan?
What a guan? Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 a.m., 1:30 p.m., and 10 p.m. on CVM TV.
And that's a guan, pa. What a guan?
Welcome back to Lead Story, our special or budget special, I should say. Tonight we are breaking down the presentation of the Prime Minister. He spoke about so many issues in Parliament. We've looked at the issue of the NHT already and what the government is doing for public sector workers. We just spoke about that. Before that, we spoke about the increase in the minimum wage as well as several of the other issues. But I want to go back to this point on the NHT. The opposition, as we're now joined by Cleveland Tomlinson, opposition senator. He's also the spokesman on productivity, the economy, PEC, told me productivity, economy, efficiency.
Competitiveness.
Forgive me, I can't keep up with so many of these things. We also have Vice President of Generation of G2K, Newton Harris is also a social and political commentator joining us now, and also the lovely lady, the Deputy Dean of the Department of Economics at the University of the West Indies, Dr. Christine Clark, and we're still joined by Mr. Mohan of the MSME Alliance, Bedford Mohan. I want to touch on the matter of the NHT journal. The Prime Minister said that the gross amount, while it being 11.4, is actually, the net amount is about just over $7 billion, or about $7.5 billion. He did consider, listen, this is not ideal, but in this moment, we have no choice. Is the opposition being hypocritical in its criticism of the NHT drawdowns, Cleveland Tomlinson?
Absolutely not. We could not be hypocritical when the balance sheet and the income statement of the NHT says something else. When you look at the 26-27 projection in the income statement of the NHT, you can look at it in the public body's estimate. Whilst it says that the NHT will have an accumulated profit of $190 billion, the actual amount in cash and liquid asset is less than $40 billion. When individuals seek financing through the NHT, the portion of the income statement that will provide financing is actually cash that is available, the liquid asset that can be loaned out in financing. And that is a lower portion of the total income statement. So because there is limited cash and liquid asset to be given in loans to the individuals who would want financing, what the NHT has had to do is to outsource its lending to the respective external partners, i.e. private commercial entities. And then it pays those entities a premium in the interest rate because those entities would have to facilitate the loan arrangement to to Jamaicans at the interest rate provided by NHT. So when they do that, NHT has to pay an interest rate premium to them. That is another cost to the NHT, which could have been avoided if NHT's cash and liquid asset capacity in its income statement was beefed up.
So just for clarity, notwithstanding Hurricane Melissa, stop dipping into the piggy bank of NHT is what the PNP is maintaining that position.
Precisely.
How do you respond to that? You seem outraged right there just now. Your face is really animated, Newton Harris. You're itching to come in.
I just don't want us to get lost in the weeds. So we can get into a lot of the numbers, but the fact is that the NHT remains liquid, viable, the fund is fine. And what we need in this moment is that kind of support so that we're not imposing additional revenue measures in areas to put additional squeeze, additional pressure on people. This is a drawdown that has been happening. The fund is still viable, which is why it is being done in this way, and that it will not result in any damage or harm to the fund or the lending. Yes, there are interest amounts. The funds come through the partners, the commercial institutions, as many other loans, DBJ, and the other funding that the government does goes through the commercial partners, and in that way, there is no damage to the fund, and that's what's important. That we're not stressing the people of Jamaica with additional revenue measures from other areas.
Cleveland Tomlinson is nodding his head in disagreement. Dr. Clark, these gentlemen will be diametrically opposed, whatever the other says tonight. But from your perspective, the NHT drawdown, the necessity of it, what Newton Harris is saying is that, listen, if we don't do this right now, is more tax. And the Prime Minister did, in fact, say that in Parliament. Is it a reasonable move at this moment?
I think both positions are equally valid in that.
Safe answer.
No. In that the public bodies exist to serve the people of Jamaica, right? And so the fundamental issue is, do we want the NHT to be holding on to our funds for us, or do we want to have it operating differently? We know that there is an implementation deficit with the provision of housing. We've never been able to keep pace. Yes, there are plans and, housing in its most broadest sense, the housing solution, whatever that looks like. And so if you have this economic crisis, let's forget the previous years, and you have the ability to get a dividend, then, and it should not just be from the housing trust. It just is the entity that we've been used to doing this, but there are lots of other public bodies, I believe, that should be thinking about how they can contribute beyond their direct mandate to financing the other needs of Jamaicans, because it is not quite the ideal governance situation to have bodies sitting down on cash reserves when the rest of the society is struggling. So it's a discussion that we have to have. I mean, it started, people are now saying, well, tax me less from the NHC and let me go ahead and do my own thing then, as far as it relates to housing. And that's a valid pushback. But again, just like with pensions, the question is, will we actually do it? Will we be able to overcome the structural issues, the inadequate number of construction workers skilled that want to work on an individual house-by-house basis? Yeah. Many of the high-skilled ones want to work on the larger projects because that's more, stretching their expertise and, of course, a steadier cash flow for them. So there will be challenges if we do go that way. We may not still achieve the outcome. Yeah,
we did speak about before the electronic invoicing system. That's something that was spoken about by the People's National Party. The Prime Minister agreed and said, listen, this is so, it doesn't even make no sense to tell her right now, say, listen, we already had this in the pipeline. We are in agreement with this thing. He did, however, push back on the pro-cyclical committee, saying, okay, actually, this is counter-cyclical against what Mark Golding was saying. Your response to that?
Yeah, I heard the Prime Minister's argument, and the essence of his argument is that it's not pro-cyclical because the government would be, in essence, injecting the money back into the economy. It's just a matter of who spends the money. And
what does it mean? Simplify. Break it down for our viewers, because it sounds very technical and highfalutin.
Yeah, I did when I was with what's her name? Elsewhere. Right. So the pro-cyclical means, in essence, that you're pursuing a measure that reinforces the problem. It doesn't solve the problem, it doesn't move against the problem. So there's a contraction in the economy, the tax base has been eroded, people's spending capacity has been reduced, but then you are taking more money from them through taxes. That's a pro-cyclical problem, meaning you're moving in the direction of the problem. A counter-cyclical measure is you move against the problem. The tax base has been eroded, people have lost jobs, the productive capacity of the country has been hit significantly. Then you do not take money from people's pocket. You want to give them back the disposable income so that consumer demand can rebound and that can contribute to a resurgence in the productive capacity. But I must respond to the Prime Minister's argument, because what he's saying is that when he takes the money from the people through taxes, then government will spend the money and government will be injecting the money back into the economy. The problem, the problem with that, Gio, is that the government has had a challenge with spending the capital budget, which is the part of the budget that actually generates growth in the economy. For the last 3 years, they have repurposed the capital budget and have used it for recurrent expenditure, i.e. debt payment, etc. That doesn't put money back into the economy. So the Prime Minister is not appreciating that his government has an implementation and spending problem. Read the aspect of the expenditure.
Newton Harris, you want to respond?
Well, thank you for the explanation. But where you're going is saying that the Prime Minister is wrong in that the money will not be spent in the way that he intends to spend it, except that he has announced, he has tabled the NARA, and the NARA is supposed to be that body. The NARA, along with the complementary framework for FAST, is supposed to be the fast tracking of the spending of those funds.
NARA, I know it's a new acronym, so it's the National Resilience and Reconstruction Authority, just so that we're all still on the same page. We do have to take another break. When we come back, we will be giving you all some cue cards, factor, fiction, factor, spin. When we come back, we did want to get a quick comment on the One Road Authority as well. So before we even go to that, we want to hear your thoughts on it. We have to talk a little bit about Cuba. The Prime Minister also addressed that in his presentation. So stay with us. This is Lead Story or Budget Special. We're analyzing, and what's going to just be laid out right now, some of what the Prime Minister said in his nearly 4-hour presentation in Parliament in his contribution to the budget debate earlier this evening. Stay with us. We'll be right back for our final segment.
man style me. From the market to the farm to the office, money talk is everywhere. But are you making sense or nonsense? The Bank of Jamaica brings you common sense with BOJ. Real stories, real laughs, and real lessons to help you protect, grow, and manage your money. Mattress savings.
At least my mattress. No charge me to sleep on it.
Partner plan.
Remember last year we needed our payouts early? But Miss Pam gave it to her cousin first.
Or a sketchy loan flyer.
Electrifying deals.
See why making the right financial choices is pure common sense. Brought to you by Bank of Jamaica, empowering everyday Jamaicans one episode at a time.
Grandpa, it's 2026. You can't keep hiding all your money in every single pocket forever.
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins, and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yeah.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
Welcome back. The hour has gone by so quickly. We have been looking at the Prime Minister's presentation and taking out some of the major talking points. Looked at NARA, looked at the minimum wage, as well as several other issues that the Prime Minister spoke about. He also addressed the situation in Cuba. He said, and I quote, "As our closest neighbor, we are concerned for the situation in Cuba, and through CARICOM, Jamaica will do its part to offer support for our brothers and sisters in Cuba. We take note of press reports that have talks have opened between Cuba and the United States, and this is a moment for reform and reset, and we are hopeful for a positive outcome." He also said that the government is still hopeful for talks to resume regarding the Cuban medical program. Is this enough? Is what he said about Cuba, in your opinion, and I know you spoke already, Cleveland, but is it enough for you?
Well, you know, I'm still unclear about what is so fundamentally or inherently wrong with the Cuban medical program that warrant a cessation of it. We still have not been made absolutely clear.
There were concerns that it was breaking Jamaica law in terms of the payment structure and also international standards. That's what he said.
And I draw a narrative. I draw an analogy. When the government contracts security companies to provide services at the respective ministries, departments, and agencies.
The security companies, not
the government doesn't pay the individual security guards. The government pays the security company. The security company pays the security guard, but they also get a commission from that salary. That's how the security companies make their revenue. Precisely. I don't see the significant dichotomy between that arrangement that the government engages with and the arrangement with the Cuban government. So I am struggling to see, and I don't think the administration has clearly articulated fundamentally what about it is in breach of the law. If you look at JAP Medical Services, it's the same thing. When they supply labor to the hospitals for you pay.
What your response to that, Newton Harris?
I am not sure why Cleveland doesn't understand that people who live and work in Jamaica, Jamaicans, abide by the laws of Jamaica. People who come from outside of Jamaica to work in Jamaica must also abide by the laws of Jamaica. And it does not help that their government or our government is inserting itself in between that arrangement and taking the salaries. So if it is not...
You're not responding to the argument.
I'm not understanding what you're saying. Cleveland, all right, let's go back to the facts. According to the government, the Cuban medical workers and teachers who came here were not in possession of their passports. That is human trafficking. That is a feature of programs and the arrangements that we see in other parts of the world. I don't want to get into that, where people's passports are taken and they're put into servitude. That word servitude has been used to describe the arrangement before the government stepped in to fix the issues. The Cuban government apparently has gone far enough, as they feel, to fix some of the issues, but there are issues that remain unsolved, and until they are solved, and therefore the program comes into compliance with the Jamaican law, then it should not be renewed.
But I want to say though, Mr. Harris, it comes in the context of all the pressures that that Washington is applying to Cuba, the oil blockade and everything, and that cannot be ignored. The point at which the government realized that this was an issue. And I just want to introduce the questions right now, and they all have some indications in their hand. And so the red means you don't agree with the statement. I'm going to let you respond. The red means you don't.
Red means what?
So red is spin, green is fact, and yellow is in between. And again, I said this the last program, I'm going to say it again right now. The colors we're using here are these are a universally accepted thing, and for no other reason why I was saying the things indicate what they do. But you wanted to finish your point then. I wanted just to give you a chance to finish your point though, Newton Harris.
Yes, thank you. That the Prime Minister, I think, did an excellent job. If anybody was listening, whether you're a more mature person, whether you're a younger person, you could understand the clear foreign policy direction and thinking of the government.
Yeah, in his government, he said that Jamaica is economically standing on good ground economically as its international foreign policy.
Principled and pragmatic. But that position had to be arrived at based on assessing the geopolitical
the pressures of the US, basically.
So he gave a very good development of the geopolitical landscape around the world.
Do you accept that,
the West?
No, I don't accept that. And again, he has not critically dealt with my argument about what is so fundamentally different between the arrangement that the government engages with security companies, which is widely accepted in the exchange of labor and payment in Jamaica, and the Cuban medical program. He has not dealt with that.
Thank you.
I saw an article. No, hold on.
International labor conventions.
You know, I saw an article.
So we will probably have to agree to disagree on that one fairly, because I don't think
domestic law speaks.
He did raise the issue of the Jamaica's laws and also international standards.
You know, I know the article.
No Jamaican supporter.
We do have to move on that one, and I can
no Jamaican supporter of the PNP.
Newton, raising your voice doesn't improve the argument, Newton.
Okay, let us now go to some questions that our team has prepared. We're just going to bring up the first one on screen. NARA will finally fix Jamaica's slow project execution problem. Fact or spin? All right, so
sorry, I didn't get the
Mr. Mohan, bring it up again. The question again. NARA will finally fix Jamaica's slow project execution problem. As expected. So, Mr. Mohan, you're new. You're partial.
I don't know.
You don't know. So you're saying you don't know, and you're saying yes. You're saying no.
Right.
Okay, 10 seconds each. We'll have to move on. This is a quick thing.
In the absence of clear articulation about the operating model of NARA and how it will fix the actual nitty-gritty within the ministries, departments and agencies that it's working with, in the absence of that articulation from the Prime Minister, I have to treat with the data I have now. And the data that I get from the Prime Minister is that the legal powers will be granted to NARA through legislation. Legislative powers in itself will not solve the bottlenecks that have plagued the implementation of large-scale projects. It's on that basis I'm saying, as at now, with the limited information I have, I can't say it will resolve the issues.
Your question is very broad in scope, but NARA deals with something that is very specific in scope, meaning the reconstruction and resilience. So reconstruction and resilience projects to make us better, more resilient, coming out of that. The western side of the island, etc. There's not everything across government. That's why I say I qualify. But I do believe that NARA will do what it is intended to do, along with FAST.
Okay, and for you wanted to make a point?
Well, I was just saying I'm not sure, because I'm not clear on the why the previous efforts have not worked. Why the previous, efforts at implementing these major projects have been challenging. And then how NARA's authority will either force MDAs to work with them, or they will just work with the private sector and eclipse that? Will they be exempt from the procurement? I don't know.
Okay.
So I'm not sure that it will finally fix it. It
Need
could
to get
very
a couple more questions to all of you. So limit your answers to 20 seconds or less. Another question. Jamaica has basically achieved full employment. Fact or spin? The Prime Minister said that today. Jamaica has been, this is just, all the rest of them is coming from his speech, by the way. Basically achieved full employment. Fact or spin? Partially agree.
From the numbers.
Dr. Clark?
Sorry.
Okay. And Mr. Mohan? Partially agree. So we have two partial, two in agreement. Let me hear the partial reasoning.
Well, as an economist, I have to be guided by the data, and the numbers will tell you that roughly we have, in terms of the absolute figure of full employment, but I think important context needs to be behind that explanation, because it's not numbers that tell the stories, the lived realities of people. And when you look at the lived realities, there are many persons outside the labor force. There are many people who are qualified, capable, and are able to work, but have opted out of the labor force because the quality of the wages being paid are suboptimal, that are unable to provide them with upward socio-economic mobility. In that context,
so employment is at what level?
Precisely so, and the quality of employment.
For you.
I want to hear Mr. Mohan first from the small business.
Okay. No, I was just saying, so basically is the number of persons. I would want to know if in order to make that statement, whether or not you have the data, all the persons that are within the employment numbers versus what you're saying is being employed. So that's the reason why I'm on the fence with it. I would need to see the real numbers in terms of those persons who are within and without within the working numbers, and those are outside of that scope.
Next question. Jamaica is on track to become a global logistics hub like Dubai or Singapore. Fact or spin? Cleveland says it's spin. As expected. Newton Harris says it's fact. My two other guests say they are not so sure. Let's go with you this time, Newton Harris, firstly.
I think there's work that can be done to strengthen our logistics framework, but there has been actually a lot of take-up from the measures that have been done, the tax incentives. I think we're positioned in a very good place, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done. The workforce, there's a lot of work that needs to be done on the workforce. So this is why heart is so important. The training and the training for the jobs of the future that will make us ready to be that.
Dr. Clark.
Well, again, you know, this is not the first time we're hearing about Jamaica being a logistics hub. So my issue is trying to understand the why it didn't work when we first, to make sure that what we're doing will address the issues that we have.
It would work now.
Right.
5 seconds.
So we have seen no material movement in the achievement of this. Simply saying that Jamaica will become a major logistics hub does not translate in Jamaica actually becoming a major logistics hub. So I can't say that this will be the case when I've seen no material movement on the part of the administration to effectuate this.
Okay. Let's go. One more question. Very, very quick. The housing crisis is not about money, it's about supply. Fact or spin? Will we get everybody agreeing for this one? Wow! This is a record. Let me get a screenshot of this, please. We finally have everybody agreeing. Let's start with you, Newton Harris.
I think, as I've said here on CVM before, the issue is the supply side. Getting contractors to come in, getting people who are interested to come in, who want a good return on their investment in the lower income segment will be very, that's the rub. That's the rub. But having more money, chasing after fewer or the same amount of houses is only going to inflate the prices. I think that is settled. So that's where the rub is. It's to get people to come on board. It's the capacity to push up the units.
Absolutely out of time. Can we get in one more question? At least one more question. Let's go. One more question. Our statement. Fact or spin? And we're standing by. This one is likely to be our last. Andre Jebbins is behind the scenes working to find his very strongest last one. Jamaica secured US $6.7 billion faster than ever before. Proof the economy is strong. Fact or spin?
Economy. Get the economy.
Okay. We seem to be back to regular programming now. Let's go with you, Cleveland Thomas. Says this is
you don't measure the strength of an economy by the amount of money that you can borrow in terms of the international package that has been secured for you. I think a key part of what we must acknowledge is a lot of that money in the US $6.7 billion is debt that would be taken on, that would inflate the debt to GDP ratio. That's money we have to repay. That's not how you measure the strength of an economy. It's how much you grow the economy in real terms. So that statement is a spin by the Prime Minister.
Right, but Cleveland is the one who was
right.
Saying
You're agreeing with him?
No.
Oh,
No. Let me rephrase. However, Cleveland is the one who was saying that we should be pumping money into the economy and giving the people to spend. So this
it's
issue
about pro-cyclical and counter-cyclical.
Right. But what I'm saying,
that's unrelated to what I said a while ago.
The debt. Yes, we can take on debt, but it has to be sustainably managed. The point of the question, I think, though, is the confidence of those in the international market to lend us the money. Because if the economy, if the base of the economy is not strong, then lenders will not be confident that you will actually repay on the terms that you have agreed to. So because we have received that record package in such a short space of time, having received the 3 upgrades from the ratings institutions, it means the economy is strong, and it means that they are very confident in the economy.
Final comment to you, Dr. Clark.
Well, I was just going to say the two put together are not quite the story, and I think there was more to it. With some of it is what Newton has just said. It's coming, the strength of the economy is not about the 6.7 billion per se.
Not.
It is about the other things that have improved or held firm, even in the context of the impact of the Category 5 hurricane.
Okay, with that we have to leave it right there, folks. I am so sorry we are entirely out of time. I was actually having some fun. We should do this again sometime, please. We're going to invite you all again to have another discussion. Join us again on Monday, where we will be having another special lead story, budget special. We'll have a special surprise for you. I won't share it with you just yet, but Monday you don't want to miss our program again, 8 o'clock, same time, same place. Until then, I want to thank all my guests who are here now and the team who was here before holding the fort earlier on in Professor Andre Houghton along with Titania Clark. Am I missing anyone? No? I want to thank every single person who is here right now, and the team behind the scenes, Andre Jebinson, who is behind the Factor of Fiction. Thank you all so much, the production team. Thank you all so much. Join us again on Monday. I'm Giovanni Dennis.
Lead Story Prime, Budget Special.